Hohem just released a new smartphone gimbal that has two very unique features that I'm pretty sure no other popular smartphone gimbal has at the moment, and I'll show you what those features are in this video, which is also sponsored by Hohem. And what I'll also show you in this video is a number of creative shots that you can capture whilst using this gimbal to make your smartphone B-roll footage a bit more interesting, especially if you're in what seems like kind of a boring, uninspiring location. But first, what is this new gimbal? The Hohem iSteady V3 is a pretty lightweight, compact, small, foldable gimbal, and like most other smartphone gimbals out there right now, it has a built-in extension rod to give you extra reach, and I'll show you later how I'd use it for creative shots. It also has this built-in tripod, which is very compact, small but surprisingly sturdy, and you don't need to attach anything to your phone separately because the camera mount is also built in. So it really is a compact phone gimbal that fits nicely in this little carry bag and also fits in your pocket. It comes in two colours, black and white, and I think the white one is actually my favourite, and that might just be because it kind of matches my phone, the case I've got with my phone. Now with this gimbal, because it doesn't support a massive payload like the Hohem iSteady M6, you wouldn't actually be able to attach lenses and filters to your phone, but you would be able to attach a mic receiver to the phone without it being off balance. And Hohem actually has a really good affordable mobile phone mic, which I shared a video about some months ago. So it's worth looking at that if you like the whole Hohem ecosystem, and the mics are actually really good quality. But remember how I said that there are two features that I don't think any popular phone gimbal currently has. Now correct me if I'm wrong in the comments when I tell you what they are, but the first one comes down to shooting solo. It's not easy being a solo content creator and wanting to film yourself and move around whilst you do, and whilst also keeping yourself in the frame. And just like some of Hohem's other gimbals, the iSteady V3 comes with a magnetic AI tracker that doesn't require any connection to the Mobile Joy app. So you can use any camera app that you prefer and the tracker will still work, and that goes for the controls on the gimbal as well. The AI tracker works really well. It's smooth, it's responsive, and it can be enabled and disabled via gestures. The magnetic AI tracker also doubles up as a light, and it has 3 light modes: cold, warm and neutral. Now, if you're using the AI tracker and the fill light, then you'll get about 4 to 6 hours of battery life from the gimbal. Whereas if you aren't using the tracker, you're not using the fill light, then you'll get up to 11 hours. And it only takes about an hour and a half to charge the gimbal, which isn't bad at all. Now, before I get on to showing you how you can shoot creative shots with the gimbal, the second thing that I wanted to mention in terms of what the Hohem iSteady V3 has that other popular mobile phone gimbals don't have at the moment is something that will give you a little bit more freedom and flexibility whilst you're actually shooting, especially if you're filming by yourself. But you need to be a little bit further away from the camera and the gimbal. So you see this display and the controls here on the gimbal. This whole thing is a detachable remote control. So that means that you can start and stop recording when you're in position and make sure that the framing is correct with you in the shot. Okay, so now I'm going to show you 4 very easy creative shots that you can start using with this gimbal and your phone, just to make your phone footage look a little bit more interesting. But first, here's a pro tip. So if you're shooting with manual settings, then you want to make sure that with each shot, you lock your focus and your white balance and also your exposure. And you do this by pressing and holding on the screen of your phone where you want the scene to be exposed and in focus, and then that will lock everything off. Otherwise, your focus is going to start shifting all over the place, the white balance will keep fluctuating, and also the exposure will keep changing across that clip, and it just won't look very good. Okay, so for the first creative shot, you need to have your phone quite low to the ground, and this is where the built-in extension rod comes in handy, as you'd need to hold the phone and the gimbal upside down to get that low. Then all you're going to do is walk forward to reveal something at the other end. So imagine if you're walking through a tunnel or over a bridge, then you're just revealing something at the end of that tunnel or at the end of that bridge or the end of that path. The second shot is another shot where you're going to start quite low as well, and you'll also have the extension rod fully extended because you're going to reveal from low to high. And if you can, start with something in the foreground that you can reveal from, because then the shot's going to look a little bit more cinematic. And then all you're doing is just moving up to reveal something that's in the distance or in the background. This also works quite well when you want to reveal something out to the side. So if you're going from, say, behind a tree, for example, and you're revealing the scene in front of you. The third shot is actually one of my favourites, as it's also a reveal, but with more of a sweeping motion. And that's what's called a jib shot. And again, you'll need the extension rod fully extended, and you can either reveal up or you can reveal down. And it really just depends on what your subject is and what's in the scene, but you essentially want to make a sweeping motion with the reveal. So just think of it like a curved line, for example. And for the final shot, this is another favourite of mine as well. And for this, you'll be low to the ground again, preferably with something blurry in the foreground to create depth and a greater sense of movement. And then you're just gonna, again, use the extension rod fully extended, turn the gimbal upside down and slide from left to right or vice versa, and that's going to create a low slider shot. You can also do this from knee height or chest height, but it kind of gives a nice dimension when you're a little bit lower, just because a lot of the time a lot of people do hold their phones at eye level or chest level, and so the shots become quite monotonous and boring. So if you just want to have something which is a bit more dynamic and creative, then you can just play around with the different levels at which you're using your phone. So when editing my clips, there's also another little trick that I like to use, because sometimes the clips are quite long. So I don't necessarily want to cut them in the middle or cut the beginning or cut the end, but I want to have the full clip. And so at that time, that's when I start to use speed ramps. So I'll speed up the middle part of the clip or the beginning of the clip or the end of the clip. It just depends what the clip is, but that can be quite a nice little effect to actually keep the whole clip intact without having to cut it. And it just looks like a cool effect as well. So if you are interested in the Hohem iSteady V3, I've dropped a link in the description so you can find out a little bit more about it.